Welcome everyone to this class of ORE Part 1 registration. Now, this is a class just to help you or help the students who are trying to fill the registration form for the ORE Part 1 exam. Now, this class is just a courtesy access to help and um, Planwari does not help with registration, neither the free students nor the course students. Yes, if you have any queries, you can post on the groups and we try to solve it, but we always tell you to check with the latest guidelines on the website. Now, this is just a class to help because we have been receiving many queries on the registration and hence we decided for making a recording for the same. However, please make sure that you always keep checking with the latest guidelines because the registration rules may change, so it is your duty to make sure to check from the website. Now, the references that we have taken is from the ORE Part 1, the website, and also the step-by-step document which has been provided by GDC, which makes things very simple. But still, there have been some queries which we will try to solve to our best ability. But again, um, please check the website whenever you are registering, and we don't hold any responsibility for the same. This is just a courtesy access to help you understand what's written on the website. Now, the website clearly gives you an idea of what all documentation you require to collect before you start the process of registration or at least during the process of registration. So you should make sure that all this should be with you before you start making the registration. The application form, the character reference certificate, the clinical experience references, the original NARIC certificate, original certificate of good standing, one passport photo, evidence of English language, certified copy of passport, certified copy of degree certificate, and evidence of name change. We will be going through each of these documentations one by one. If you are watching this video on the YouTube, you also have a timestamp and you can go to the timestamp which is relevant to you. And if you don't want to watch the whole video, just go to the relevant timestamp from below. Now, the first step that you have to do is you have to go to a website. And they have already provided you the link of website in the step-by-step document. So I'm basically going to just go through the step-by-step document, which is already provided by the GDC. If you click this link, you will get something like this on the screen, a blue screen, and you will have three options. And the one which you have to select is your apply to register. Again, they have put a nice red arrow showing what you have to click. Makes things really very simple. They have already told you where to click, that is apply to register. Once you have clicked that, and then you move on to the next page where you again have to click the route to registration. So select apply to register. They have even mentioned it, and then they have written select route to registration. Once you click select route to registration, you then have some questions which you have to answer based on your individual thing. So this ORE exam is for a dentist, so you are applying for a dentist. Have you registered with the GDC before? So you will mention yes or no as applicable to you. Where did you qualify? The UK, the EEA, or outside the EEA? And about your qualification, you have to select the one which is relevant to you. Are you an exempt person? Now, are you an exempt person? That means, are you exempt from giving the exam or the English exam or whatever? If you don't understand this or any of the question, there is a small question mark on the left hand side. If you click this question mark, It will tell you what it means, and then you can decide whether you need to click yes or no. I would suggest that if you have queries or specific queries to your status, it is always better to ask the GDC by emailing them or calling them or contacting them rather than to ask us. Okay, because we will be telling you the same thing, that to contact GDC, because for every person there may be certain different rules or guidelines which may be applied. So the best person is the GDC, because the GDC is going to give you the registration, not anybody else. Yes, you can try your luck asking on the free WhatsApp and Facebook groups, where if other students are in a similar situation to yours, they may help you. But again, I would say the best person to contact is the GDC. Do you have an application from a recognized university? Again, click question mark and see whether you are in the university, or I mean, is your university considered as recognized or not? They have also provided a link to see if your qualification is recognized. And they have given you a link, and this link will tell you whether your qualification is recognized or not. And this application is basically for a non-exempt individual who have to give ORE in order to practice dentistry in the UK clinically. Before you begin the application, they have given you an overseas registration application guidance requirements. So please make sure that you click and you check out everything. Once you have filled this form, the next thing would be they would be then moving on to this screen, and this screen will ask you your personal details, your qualifications, your declarations, your equality and diversity questions, and then you don't have to make any payment for registration. Please make sure there is no pre-application payment. These two will automatically skip. If they don't skip, you are doing something wrong down the line. So keep trying. This should automatically skip. If it doesn't, contact GDC to understand what's going wrong. Once you have done this, you can download the application. This application would already have your personal details, that is your name and everything. So it will be a personified or personalized application form for you. So you have to download the application form and print all the pages. Please make sure that you print all the pages, or you download it and keep it and then fill it and then print it. So there are basically two ways to fill this downloaded application. So some people download the application and then print the application and then um, physically write things in the application form. The other people download it, and in the soft copy itself, they edit it by typing things rather than writing things with a pen. They type things in the PDF, and then they take a print of this typed PDF, and then they get the signatures and then the stamps. All the signatures and stamps cannot be in soft. They have to be real ink, wet ink. They have to be um, the true signatures. It cannot be a soft copy or a photograph of the sign. That has to be real. And then they send it to the GTC. So this depends on how you want to do. Many years back, we would just, download, print, and write it physically, like the original way, sign, stamp, everything, and then send it to the GDC. But I have seen a lot of students in the last 2 or 3 years who type the clinical reference or the character reference, and they type that because it looks much neater, and then take a print and then get the signs and stamps from the relevant professionals and then send it to the GDC. Now, in the form, they have not mentioned as to, whether it has to be written or it has to be typed. They usually accept both the things. But again, it is a good idea that if you have the slightest doubts, contact GDC or contact the other students who have recently filled the form. I personally know both kind of students who have written as well as the ones who have typed. But the signs and stamps in both the cases should be real. It cannot be soft copy. Now, once you have downloaded, you have 45 days, okay, to complete your form and to send it back. To track the progress of your application or re-download your application form, follow this link. So you have 45 days to download to get your application in place and send it with the supporting documents to the GDC. If you do not send your application and supporting documents within 45 days, they will cancel your application and you will be requested to undertake the online application process again. So ensure that 45 days are enough. Secondly, you should have all the forms they have mentioned on the checklist. They should all be correctly and accurately filled. And there are certain forms which should not be dated more than 3 months ago, like your clinical clinical hours, which they ask the 1600 hours, the good standing certificate. Those all they require recent ones. Also, the attested copies should all be recent within 3 months. So always try to send something which is recent rather than quite old ones. So again, we will be going through each and every form and we'll be seeing what GDC mentions. So this is the first page of the form, your name, date of birth, application reference, everything will be provided over here once you download it. And then you have to write down in the checklist or you have to tick mark whatever you are sending. I would advise to fill the checklist at the end. Once you have attached all your documents and you know what all documents you're sending, you then come and tick mark all the ones which are required. That is just a suggestion. It is up to you. You can first tick mark and then attach. Both is fine as long as the entire form is filled. Now, the bottom part, a lot of students get confused with the bottom part where it says either you, let me see if I have a better one. So, this is the top one, and this is the bottom one where it says original academic IELTS test report form or. And in or, they have given you a lot of categories like marriage certificates, spouse's passport, and uh, many other things, but this is only for the ones who are exempt from giving IELTS. So we will talk about this in the English guidelines. When we come to the IELTS test report form, we will be talking about this as much as we can understand from the document. So the first form we are going to talk about is the NIRAC. Now, what is NIRAC? A question which is so commonly asked. And the simple answer to that is they have mentioned it very nicely in the step by step document. There is nothing to get confused about. They have told you that there is a link. You have to go to this link. You have to register a new account through the UK NARIC portal. And this NARIC certificate is actually called as the Statement of Comparability. So you have to apply online, you have to go to the link, you have to register an account with them. Then when you are registered, you receive an acknowledgement email, and then you have to click on the link to activate your account. And then you have to log in into your account with your email ID and password. They have written it in very nice, simple steps. There's nothing to get confused about. And then you need to start your application. You need to select the service you require. So there are lots of services, you need to choose which you require. Now the question asked here is there is a soft copy available, and there is also a hard copy available, and the hard copy is a little expensive as compared to the soft copy. So which should we order? Now I would advise you to get the hard copy because ORE GDC asks the original NARIC certificate, so a hard copy is always good. Yeah, again, if you don't have time and you require the soft copy or the hard copy is not available or anything, it is always a good idea to ask the GDC in advance whether they will be accepting the soft copy which is sent by the NARIC. If they're okay, great. If not, then you will have to order the hard copy. So always, whenever there is a question where there is a dilemma, please make a set of those questions and send it to GDC, and they will respond back in a week or so, and you will have all your queries answered from the GDC rather than asking on free groups where you may still not be satisfied with the answer. So in your application, you have to fill your service, you have to upload the scans of your qualifications like your BDS, MDS, whatever degrees you have done, bachelor's, master's, and your contact details. Now, in NARIC, they usually ask you the transcripts. Transcripts are basically mark sheets, okay? Your first year, second year, third year, final year mark sheets. Now, when we had done it long, long back, it was usually 4 mark sheets of 4 years. But now the students who have recently applied say they ask for a final transcript. A final transcript is something which has the scores of all the 4 years in one mark sheet. Rather than having 4 separate mark sheets, there is one mark sheet which has the scores of all your 4 years. Now, again, I'm not sure as to how important is this. Will 4 mark sheets suffice or not? I think 4 mark sheets will still suffice. There should not be an issue because all colleges don't give you a single mark sheet with all marks. Most of the colleges will give you separate mark sheets. But again, if you can get one transcript with all the mark sheets in one, great. And if still issues, please make sure that you contact the NARIC asking them as to what they require. They also have a nice video on the transcripts one. And if you go to the NARIC website, there is a nice video which tells you what they mean by transcripts. A photocopy or scan of a certified translation to English of your document. So if your documents are in a different language, then a translation would be required. Payment, as they have mentioned, and do not send us a self-addressed envelope. Postage options are provided within the checkout process. So again, there are various postage options. You want it fast, you want it, or you are okay to wait. There are many options. Choose according to what you want the best. Now, in NARIC, there is also an English language assessment. Okay. Now, this thing we will talk about in English language assessment. When we are talking about the English language assessment, we will be talking about this. For now, NARIC statement of comparability is something which is compulsory, so you have to apply for this. At the end of the application process, you will be offered payment options. Once a payment method is chosen, you will be sent an email confirming your order and your unique inquiry ID number. You will be kept up to date on the progress of your application via email, and if you have any doubts, they have a communication system. They have also given you some YouTube links to check out on how to proceed or how to do it step by step. So if you have issues following the written, please make sure that you look at the YouTube videos. It is a very simple step by step procedure, and it should be easy for all of you to apply for a NARIC statement of comparability. So once you have done that, how many days do I have to wait for the NIRAC certificate to come? A lot of students ask. Again, if you Google it, you get around 10 to 15 days. They usually send the NIRAC certificate. But this may take longer if there is a problem with your transcripts. So always keep a good leeway and then order your NIRAC certificate. They themselves don't mention the set number of days on their website, but it is mentioned that it usually takes around 2 weeks on some forums. So the questions which a lot of students ask is how many days we have told you, and is soft copy allowed? As I mentioned, a hard copy is always the best way to go ahead for that. Then you can scan and keep it as a soft copy as well, because GDC asks for a original NARIC, and original always means an hard copy. But again, if you have any issues, please make sure that you contact GDC whether they accept a soft copy sent by NARIC or not. And some students ask us, should we order two original copies because we can, use it. So for different exams or for whatever reasons. So yes, again, that's up to you. Those questions are not something where, somebody can ask you to do order two or three. It is for you to decide. You require two at the same time, then order two. If you think one is fine for now, and later if I require the second copy, I'll reorder. You can do that. Those questions are not something that Plan ORE can deal with, because it is up to your individual thing. You require two copies, you have to order two. If you require three, you order three. Because if you give one original copy to GDC, GDC will return that original hard copy to you. But it will take some time till the registration process is finished. So it may take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months for your original NARIC to come back. In those 4 months, if you again require the NARIC for some other uh, reason, for some other exam, for some other registration, then you will be in a fix. Then you will require a second copy. So that is up to you. You think you require two copies at the same time, then order two. If you think you don't, then order one. And they also have you will be making an account with the NARIC. So you can always go back there and order a second copy later on. But again, there is a time span which they have mentioned, that within this time span you can order a copy if of your original, if you require one more. Again, there is a time span. So all those things, guys, you will have to check on yourself on the NARIC website. And if any issues, contact NARIC or contact GDC for any other queries you have apart from the ones we are discussing. The next is the good standing certificate. Again, so many queries on this on the groups. Certificate of good standing is given by your council or your state council of the country. So if you have passed from India, then your state council, like the Karnataka Dental Council or the Andhra Pradesh Dental Council or the Delhi Dental Council, those will give you your good standing certificate. And that good standing certificate has a timing. So within 3 months, a lot of students post on the WhatsApp group is, I have a certificate of good standing which is 1 year old. Can I give it to GDC? They have clearly mentioned that it should not be more than 3 months. So there is nothing which says that 1 year is okay. Obviously, it's not okay. When they have mentioned it should be not more than 3 months, then it should not be more than 3 months. That is well understood from the guidelines. If there is something because of which you're not getting a certificate of good standing, or you're stuck with an old good standing, or whatever, that is your personal issue. So the best thing is to talk about your personal issue to with the GDC, and the GDC will tell you what to do for your personal thing. If there is an issue where you cannot get a very recent certificate of good standing, otherwise, if you ask it on a free group or a paid group, obviously we are going to tell you no. The 1 year is not going to help. You have to get it within 3 months, and they're very strict about it. But if you have a personal issue getting a recent one, then you have to get in contact with GDC and tell your personal issue, and then they will help you to whatever best they can do. So, if you cannot obtain this document due to regulations of the dental authority in the country in which you have qualified, you must provide a letter from the dental authority which explains why a certificate or letter of good standing cannot be provided. So again, they have answered that question as well, that if this document is not possible, then you have to provide a letter as to why it is not possible, again from the dental authority. In addition, you must provide an affidavit or affirmation witnessed by a solicitor or other legal professional confirming that you are of good standing. So instead, you need an affidavit or an affirmation from a legalized professional confirming that you are of good standing. So this is considered on case by case basis. So as I keep saying, everyone will have a personal issue, a personal case. So if you have that personal issue, the best part is to contact GDC, because GDC will be the best people to help you. A registration certificate or an annual practicing certificate or a reference from your university will not be accepted instead of the letter of good standing. So registration certificate is not something that will replace your good standing. A certificate of good standing is a separate certificate. Okay, so this should be within 3 months, and this would be by your state or country dental council. And if you cannot provide it, then you have to give a letter stating why so from the dental authority, as well as a good standing certificate from a legalized professional. If there is something else to your case, please make sure to um, contact GDC. Then they require the next thing is a passport photo, and they have mentioned the dimensions clearly. They have mentioned your photo must be in color on a plain white photographic paper, taken against a plain cream or light gray background, taken within the last month, clear and in focus, without any tears, without any tears or creases, and unaltered by computer software. The image of you from the crown of your head to your chin must be between 29 and 34 mm high. And this should be certified by your character referee. So your character referee should sign behind the photograph. The English evidence. Now coming to your English evidence. In your English evidence, again, there is a lot of criterias which need to be followed, and this will be taken in the part 2 of the session, where we will continue ORE part 2 registration and talk about the remaining documents. So we will end the session here and see you in the part 2 session, where we will continue with the English evidence. Bye bye.